Hey, there's Monkey. I want to talk to you about some of the preparations you're going to want to make before heading into the Mistlands. You just beat Yagluth and hung his head on the boss stones, but we're not going to switch to Yagluth's power. We're going to keep Bone Mass's power because physical resistance is going to be more useful against the creatures that you fight in the Mistlands. That's just the bulk of the damage they do. Back at your base, you're going to want to build a couple things. One of them is going to be some sort of protective chicken coop. Eggs and chicken meat are two components in some of the high-end food that you can make. And before you go running off to Hildir to drop 1,500 coins per egg for the 2 eggs you need to get this started, we want to make sure that, we're not spending 3,000 coins on a whole bunch of bat food, basically. I have a separate video that I made that covers chicken coops in detail from start to finish, with a couple options, including building one of the coops that I'm standing on right now. The other thing you're going to want to build is going to be a wisp fountain. I've already built one over here. At night, these wisps will start showing up. You'll gather a bunch of them for crafting, but initially you're going to use just 1 wisp and 1 bar of silver to craft a Wisplight at your workbench. Wisplight is necessary to function inside the Mistlands. I'll throw a clip up here of how the Mistlands look when you don't have a Wisplight activated and when you do have a Wisplight activated. Basically, without a Wisplight, your visibility is melee range, which means you can't really see anything, including the creatures that want to kill you. So, goes without saying, it's extremely important to have this item before you go in the Mistlands. It's going to take up an accessory slot, so same slot as Medjugorje or as the like the Wishbone, etc. As far as other items go, generally speaking, you were able to beat Yagluth, so you should already be well enough equipped to start off in the Mistlands. Obviously, like every biome, creatures are going to be tough until you can farm up enough materials from the biome to get yourself better equipped. Now, for items that you want to make sure to bring, a black metal axe for sure. That's how you get Yggdrasil wood. Yggdrasil wood is a crafting material that is going to allow you to make a black metal pickaxe, and that will allow you to get more of the crafting materials that you need out of the Mistlands. There's a few weapons that we should probably talk about, so let's start with bows and get that out of the way. As you noticed from that video, visibility is not great, particularly in the lower levels of the Mistlands. So bows don't seem to be quite that useful at that elevation, but at higher elevations, the mists clear out a little bit, you have better visibility, and you can actually use bows to greater effect at that higher elevation. I wouldn't completely write them off, and there are some creatures that bows are very effective against. I would recommend keeping it in your inventory, particularly if you are skilled with bows. Another item that you're going to want to bring is some form of AoE two-handed blunt damage, so a stag breaker, an iron sledge, something like that. The reason why we want to go with a two-handed blunt weapon as opposed to an at-gear or an axe is quite simply that a two-handed blunt weapon's damage hits not just the ground, but in that vertical dimension as well. So it will damage everything from the ground on up in sort of like a column of damage. Trust me, when you're being swarmed by ticks and they're on your back, being able to slam the ground with a two-hander that does knockback and damage in a column will make your life a lot easier. And one damage type that you don't want to bring with you would be any weapon that has a lot of spirit damage on it, simply because all of the creatures in the Mistlands are immune to spirit. So, sorry Frostner, still not your time. Now, as far as other things to bring, of course you want to bring portal mats and healing potions. I suppose if you were going to fight the Mistland dwarves that are there, they're like a neutral faction. Some of them are spellcasters and do fire and cold damage, so maybe fire resist potions. I'm assuming you have cold resist on your cloak. So maybe a fire resist potion if you're going to fight them a whole lot. Otherwise, I wouldn't really bother. For food, any of your leftovers from fighting Yagluth, those would be fine. I've got some ice cream here. That's pretty good stamina food to kind of get started in the Mistlands. Wolf skewers, fish wraps, Sausages are still good. That's the base level of food you're going to want to bring to get going in that, like I said, and any other leftover really tough food that you had for fighting Yagluth. Now let's talk about epic loot and some of the item mods that you're going to want to look for to bring into the Mistlands. Featherfall is the #1 mod at this point. Hopefully you've already gotten it on your cloak or your pants. If not, you might want to consider trying to enchant that roll onto something, because the elevation in the Mistlands is crazy, even compared to the mountains. So I would say Featherfall is the most important roll to get on one of your items. You will learn a recipe to be able to craft an item that has Featherfall innately on it, the Feather Cloak. But before you get to that, having the roll on one of your items is going to be invaluable. Having thorns on at least one item, again, will be useful. Not quite as useful as against Death Skeetos, but the low-level ticks don't have a lot of hit points, so any level of thorns will help you against them. You'll still want the usual suspects on your items: hit points, stamina, various damage resist, typically physical damage resist. Also having, a spear with recalling would be great. Also, if you happen to be lucky enough to get or finally augment throwable and recalling on a two-handed blunt weapon, even a stag breaker, it goes without saying that it's such an amazing combination of effects to have on a magic item. So I highly recommend you trying to get that. It'll be useful in the Mistlands for sure. Like I said, even on a blue stag breaker. Lastly, for epic loot gambling, I would recommend holding on to your coins. I mean, you probably spent most of them already just buying the 2 eggs from Hildir to get your chicken egg cycle going. So I would say hold on to whatever coins you have left. You're about to unlock a bunch of new recipes for gear in the Mistlands, so do that first. Then check with Hildir to see what you can gamble for, as you hopefully obtain more coins. I think that covers everything to prepare us for going into the Mistlands. If you have any other ideas or suggestions, please feel free, leave them down in the comments. Also, don't forget to tap that like button if this helped you out, and touch that monkey down there in the corner and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.